What's up, guys? How goes it? Hope everybody had a fantastic Halloween yesterday. We went out trick-or-treating. And we had a pretty good time. Trick-or-treating, but to me, and I don't know what it was like for everybody else's experience, and it could be just because we went to a new neighborhood this year. It could be because Hurricane Florence messed everything up. It could be, there's a bunch of variables that you could factor in there. But I felt like every 5 to 6 houses, one of those 5 to 6 houses were handing out candy. Like, there was a lot of houses not handing out candy. And then on top of that, like, we walked around for 2 hours and probably came across like 30 other kids. That's it. And we were in a neighborhood with probably over 200 houses. And with that many houses, 1 in 5 of them handing out candy, and only came across like 30 kids, I thought that was pretty crazy, man. Kind of worries me, man, because that's, to me, growing up, Halloween was one of my favorite holidays. It was one of my favorite holidays, and I just knew that, like, every house was going to have something in the front yard and candy out front, and, I was going to have a blast running around the neighborhood and just doing all that stuff. And seeing yesterday, man, it was just like, I was worried for my kid's future of being a kid, because I felt like they were complaining about how much they were walking because, and I was telling them, like, stop complaining, man, you're getting free candy. But at the same time, like, why are there so many people not celebrating Halloween? Like, is there something I'm missing? Is it because I'm too deep in the Bible Belt? Is it, I don't know. I know a lot of people are starting to do the trunk or treating thing because it's safer, which I can completely understand that. But at the same time, man, like, if you look back at your childhood and you look back at Halloween, like, regardless of whether you had the best costume or, you just threw on a hoodie and said that you're a serial killer, whatever, you always counted on, seeing cool costumes and getting a lot of candy. And I just felt like it wasn't there this year for the kids, man. I felt bad for them. But I mean, to them, they had a blast. It didn't bother them, other than the fact that, the amount of walking we had to do, and they still got more than enough candy. But yeah, man, this is probably I don't know if I could say my least favorite, because, I was in Afghanistan for a Halloween. I was in the middle of the Mediterranean on a ship for a Halloween. Like, I missed some of my kids' Halloweens. There were some Halloweens where bad stuff was going on. I didn't get, like, and I'm saying this, like, when I got diagnosed with my blood clots in 2015, it was Halloween night that I got diagnosed with my blood clots. So, I mean, for me to say, like, this was one of the worst Halloweens, like, that's, that's saying something. But yeah, man, I hope more people, and I hope it really was, and I don't know how else to say. I hope it was Hurricane Florence that deterred people from, so many people celebrating Halloween, because there's a lot of, devastation, and there was a decent amount, a lot more than normal, of houses under construction, while we were walking around. So that could have played a factor, People still waiting on insurance money. They didn't have the money to go out and buy candy, so they just turned their lights off, and that's completely understandable too, man. It just sucked for the kids, because also on top of Hurricane Florence, the kids have been out of school for 2 months. They ain't seen their friends. Some football teams shut down. Soccer teams shut down. Like, they've been stuck in their house hanging out with their parents, And if you can remember being a kid, hanging out with your parents was like the worst, So, I mean, I hope it gets better, man. I hope next Halloween's, 100 times better. Who knows? It could be worse. Who knows? But good news. My dog Z, she's up and walking around. Yesterday she laid after that dog attacked her, she laid on the bed and she wouldn't move. I have to wash one of my couch cushions because when she went inside, she got blood all over everything. So instead of washing that couch cushion last night, I took that couch cushion, put it on the floor, covered it with a blanket, like a sheet, and let her sleep on top of that so she could be comfortable last night. And today she's up, she's limping around, and she doesn't want anybody touching her still, which is weird for her because normally she's like a very like in-your-face, touch-me type dog. But like last night, like my kids would reach to like pet her and she would growl at them. She didn't show her teeth or anything, but she'd do the, you know? And that's very uncharacteristic of her. So I just told the kids, I was like, look, man, she had a rough day. Like, imagine getting your ass whooped and like almost dying. And that's essentially what happened to her. So I told them, I was like, just give her a day. Maybe, give her the rest of the week. Let her do her own thing and she'll get back to it. And if not, then I'll start working with her, getting her back to feeling safe, Because this morning I put her on the front porch to take her outside to go pee. And she sat there and whined at the front door. She didn't even want to come outside, man. So that's unfortunate. And I'm hoping that doesn't last too much longer, She's sitting there in my son's room, the room that's closest to me. She's sitting in their room staring at me out here in the car right now. So she's up and moving around. That's, a lot better than what she was doing yesterday. So animal control came by and picked up the pit bull that attacked her. They said they were going to look to see if they could find the owners. It didn't have a collar. I told them it's been stray in the neighborhood for like 3 to 4 months. I also told them like, hey, I don't know if you can press charges against an animal or whatever, but I was like, I don't want this to go down as like a dog attack. I want her to, because they told me it was a female. I was like, I want her to be able, for somebody to adopt her and work with her. Because the reason she's been a stray in this neighborhood for 4 months is because she has been friendly with everybody and everything, She hasn't attacked. She's kind of standoffish, like she would bark at you and run into the woods every once in a while. But she definitely never attacked anybody or any animals or anything. And there was a couple times where she'd come up and let me pet her and I'd feed her and, But yeah, I mean, if she would have just came up and like one quick little like to scare my dog and ran off, I probably would I think I did the right thing calling animal control regardless, but it still hurts me as an animal lover to know that dog is probably going to be put down, man. Like that really, I was upset yesterday. I really was. Like I was questioning myself. Like, did I do the right thing? Like, should I have? Like, I know I did the right thing in getting like punching and kicking that dog to get her off of my dog because she would have killed like 100%. If I wouldn't have been there, that dog would have killed my dog. So I know I did the right thing there, but and I know I told my friend about it, and she told me, she's like, you can't save the world. So it just sucks that I can't save the world, But yeah, and we were supposed to do our podcast last night, and if you guys know anything about Murphy's Law, anything that can go wrong does go wrong. And that's what happened last night. We couldn't get our audio down, and Carl troubleshot his in the majority of the night, and after a couple hours of like fucking with it and trying to figure out what was wrong, we were just like, you know what, we're gonna have to do this another time, man, because like I said in a couple of videos here lately, man, like both of us are very busy people, so as much as I would love to sit there and troubleshoot it with him until we got it up running, whether it took us 24 or 48 hours, on a normal, like on a summer day, I'd have done that, where I don't have kids' birthdays and doctor's appointments and school and football and yada, yada, yada. If I didn't have that stuff going on, I'd have been up troubleshooting it until, I fucking passed out of my computer chair. But being busy, man, you gotta make shitty calls sometimes, like going to sleep. But yeah, man. The oldest went back to middle school today. They finally opened up the middle school and let him come back. And because of hurricane, he didn't do anything. He wasn't in trouble or anything. Just a hurricane shut down schools for 2 months. So the middle schooler finally went back today. And he sat at the bus stop for 30 minutes this morning. The bus never showed up, so I had to like rush him to the middle school, which is 20 minutes in one direction, and then turn around and get the other 3 to the elementary school, which is about 45 minutes away from the middle school. And we were almost like, I got the middle schooler there on time. He had enough time to go inside and get breakfast and whatnot, but my other 3 got them to school, and like we got there right as the tardy bell was ringing. And I'm looking at the principal's always out there like guiding children, and she'll tell you like, hey, you're late, you need to check him in, he's tardy, you know. But the principal was like, no, you 3, come on, and like pulled my 3 kids into the school so they weren't tardy. So appreciated that. Yeah, man, it's getting near the end of football season. It's looking right now like we aren't going to be a playoff team, unfortunately. I had my hopes up at the beginning of the season, man, because I know I have like the least experience I've ever had on a football team. Like 90% of my kids have never played football in their life. But we have like one of the most talented teams. And when they're clicking, man, I don't think there's a team in the world at our age group that can stop us. Like, my kids have infinite potential. But unfortunately, all of our games have been away games this season, except for one. And again, just because I keep blaming Hurricane Florence for everything, but man, Hurricane Florence really did mess up a lot of shit around here. Not just structural damage, not just injuring people, man, but it fucked up youth. It fucked up schools. It fucked up youth football programs, youth soccer programs, youth baseball programs, all kinds of stuff that kids do, that kids need to do to stay productive and, you know, learn the skills they need to be responsible adults, man. And there's schools around here that canceled the entire school year. Like, that's an entire class. That's an entire community that is going to be a year behind, man, in school because of this fucking hurricane. And that sucks for those kids, dude. Like, you know, our kids are going to be, luckily the elementary schools, the elementary school that my kids go to, they were on a 3-week break, and then they were only out for 6 weeks. So, and on top of that, you know, I think somebody, I don't know if it was, I don't know who excused it, but they excused up to 20 days. So I'm not sure if, because they missed 15 at the elementary school, I'm not sure if those 15 fall under the 20 because they were already on break. So technically they didn't miss the first 3 weeks. You know what I'm saying? So, I hope that's the way it is, because they're talking right now about like cutting Christmas break down to 1 week. They're talking about, you know, taking weeks off of summer, canceling spring break, like all this shit that these kids need. Like, as much as kids need school, man, kids need to have a break to go learn life skills and street skills, man. Like, being in school, yeah, that's great for those kids. It's teaching them book smarts, and it's giving them the intelligence they need to be successful in their career paths for most of them. But being out of school and out running around your neighborhood and, you know, having fun and doing stuff that kids need to be doing, man, that shit's just equally as important in my eyes. And taking away all those things, man, I think it's going to hurt them more than it's going to help them, you know? I understand it, because kids do need to go to school. I'm very huge on my kids doing the right thing by school, and we stress it in the house. For my kids, there's nothing more important to them than school. You know, I mean, other than like family is more important, but I mean, there's nothing more important as far as their responsibilities go than school. Like, for instance, I talk about football all the time, man. My 7-year-old was acting up at school. That first game we had this season, I benched my 7-year-old. My kid on my team, I benched him. And he's one of the kids. He's not like my star player, but he's one of my top players. And it hurt the team, but at the same time, man, I think as a parent and a football coach, I think I did the right thing there, you know? But yeah, today's Thursday, day after Halloween, first day of November. This year is flying by, man. I feel like I'm about to be 32. And I can't wait to see what 2019 brings, man, you know? Always looking forward to the future. Always living in the present and trying to forget about the past. But, before I end this vlog, yesterday, because my oldest got on the honor roll, I went out and bought him Red Dead Redemption 2, and he didn't get to play it yesterday because of trick-or-treating and school and everything, but it downloaded onto my PS4 finally today. It took like an hour. I don't know how long it took. Like, we weren't home maybe 30 minutes yesterday, so I have no clue how long it actually took to download, but it finished downloading last night. So today he comes home, he's got an hour to do his homework, and then football practice. Tomorrow, all the kids and I are probably going to play Red Dead Redemption 2. Excuse me. Red Dead Redemption 2. So Monday, will be the next scheduled vlog after I start playing Red Dead Redemption, so I'll have that to talk about. I've heard nothing but good things. I've been listening to a couple of podcasts about it. The podcast I'm listening to right now is called Kinda Funny Gamescast. They're on Podbean. I found out about Podbean through Inked Guy, so shout out to Inked Guy. He's Scott and Bob. They have their own podcast also, man. I know I've mentioned them before too, but you know, not being able to be inside all the time to play the video games, and there's not really any phone games that hold my attention as well as, you know, other games. I've been listening to a lot of podcasts lately, and Scott and Bob only have like 32. I say only, like, to an average person that's probably like, oh cool, then I'll be busy for the next couple weeks. But for me, I listen to podcasts all day, so I've listened to all their podcasts, which are great. They're hilarious, and they're about games, videos, movies. They interview streamers. They just recently interviewed a streamer, Jomo. That's a 3-part. I'm waiting for the other 2 parts to come out. But Jomo Senpai, he's a big streamer that they went and interviewed. They interviewed a director of a movie for the movie Black Mountain. It's a dude, I can't pronounce his name. But yeah, I've listened to all their podcasts, and I just started listening to this podcast that I just mentioned. And if I remember, I'll put all their information down there in the description for you guys. But yeah, man, I think that's it for the day. Tomorrow I'll be back with some more vlog information about my life and the future of Nerdy Needs and, you know, whatever. But until then, guys, arrivederci.